This is Lady Boule, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your thumbs up, for your comments, and thank you for sharing the videos. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And yes, we are commanded to love one another, whether we want to or not, or whether we agree with each other or not. Well, as of late, there is a question that has arisen in the Black American mind and in the Black American community. We've seen President Obama become President of the United States, and now we see Kamala Harris vying to become President of the United States, both of them passing for Black, but not of our lineage. And so the question rightfully comes up is, will there ever be a President of the United States from our lineage? So I want you to stay with me for a moment as I explore this question. Will there ever be a President of the United States from our lineage? I believe that there will be, and I'm hoping that it will happen in my lifetime. But if it doesn't happen in my lifetime, it's definitely going to happen. But let me give my take on it. These imitation Black people, Kamala and President Obama, they are laying the groundwork for the real thing. They are the forerunners of what is to come. You know that when something spectacular happens in the earth, there has to be some kind of a warning, you might say, or there has to be a prerequisite. So I'm going to call it a prerequisite. When Black American descendants of slavery go into an area that we haven't been in before, we are transformative. When Jackie Robinson went into baseball, he was transformative. Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, transformative. They changed the game. We can go back. Harriet Tubman, transformative. Frederick Douglass, transformative. Even Nat Turner, transformative, because he was, of all of the revolutionaries, he was one of the ones that actually carried through with his plot. So that's transformative. So President Obama just kept up with the status quo. If Kamala becomes president, she's going to go along with the status quo. They're not going to be transformative. They are not of our lineage. Their ancestors didn't go through what ours went through, but we have been generous enough to lend them our advocacy and our agency. But there will come a time when we will need it for ourselves. But these people, these two, they're just a warm-up act. And we already know that because what we say is President Obama didn't do anything for Black people. Kamala Harris is not going to do anything for Black people. That's what we're saying. And what we're saying in those words is that when we have a real Black American descendant of slavery who is elevated to the status of President of the United States, he is expected to be transformative, or we won't have any more respect for him or her than we had for President Obama and that we would have for Kamala, because at the end of the day, she's going to go along with the status quo. So America expects and accepts excellence from Black people. America will accept mediocrity from everybody, including white people. But when we get into something that we haven't done before, we have to be excellent to outstanding, or we won't even get our foot in the door. So they force us to be excellent and better at everything than anybody else. And that's a good thing. So what do we want from a president, a Black president from our lineage? First and foremost, we want him to acknowledge us. As they say, we want him to see us. We want him or her to see us, to acknowledge us, to acknowledge our contribution, our struggle, the suffering that has gone on with us. And they don't have to, that doesn't have to be the platform. That doesn't have to be the platform. That has to be general knowledge. Then you need to do something about it. You need to acknowledge what happened with the Black farmers. You need to be able to acknowledge how we were not able to build wealth because of the policies that were put in place, how black people lost 16 million acres of land through trickery, through the law of eminent domain, through just taking property from people, not supporting black farmers. We need all of this stuff to be acknowledged. And then we need reparations. We need something done about it. So when we have a black president from our lineage, we need that person to be there not only for the greater good of the country, but also for the group that this country was built, that the wealth was built on, the foundation that this country has stood on for so many years. So when we get a black president, we want him to be transformative, somebody who is courageous enough to stand up and look the American people in the eye and speak truth to power and speak truth to the citizens of this country. A lot of the history they don't know because it's been buried. But we need this history to come out. And so we need somebody strong enough to do that. America is not ready for that right now. So they put up a symbolic black person, an imitation black person who is going to go along with the status quo. So when a real sheriff comes to town from our lineage, he needs to be ready, and we need to be ready to support him, and not everybody picking the person apart trying to find out everything that's wrong with him, because it's going to take a very courageous person to do that. I don't consider President Obama or Kamala Harris to be particularly courageous. I see them as being ambitious, and their ambition emboldens them to get out there and run for president of the United States. But a real black president is going to have some real courage. And when he comes, we need to be ready. We need to be ready to support him and lift him up and not be picking him apart, finding everything in the world that's wrong with him, because he won't be perfect, but he'll need to be courageous, and he'll need to care about his lineage and the people of his lineage. So I'm going to show y'all who I think could be our first black president or someone like him. This is General Charles Q. Brown. Charles Quentin Brown is a United States Air Force general, a 4-star general who has served as the 21st chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff since October 1st, 2023. Prior to his appointment, Brown served as the 22nd Chief of Staff of the Air Force. He entered the Air Force in 1984 and served as a fighter pilot, where he has logged over 3,000 flight hours, including 130 hours in combat. He has commanded the Pacific Air Forces, U.S. Air Forces Central Command, 31st Fighter Wing, 8th Fighter Wing, U.S. Air Force Weapons School, and 78th Fighter Squadron. He has also served as Deputy Commander of the U.S. Central Command. Now, this man has impeccable credentials. 40 years plus in the United States Air Force. As a 4-star general, the next highest would be a 5-star, and that is the very highest, and they usually earn that just before they retire. What caught my eye about General Charles Q. Brown is when George Floyd was murdered. He spoke out against it. As the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, he spoke out as a black man raising black boys. So that gives him a special distinction. This is the kind of black man who has the courage to do what needs to be done, because he is what America calls a hero. He is a black man that America would respect to the extent that America can respect a black man. Having him for president would be superior to anybody that they have inaugurated in that office up to this point. Now, if anybody knows anything about him, any reason why he shouldn't be president, let me know, because I'm advocating for this guy. There is no shortage of qualified black men to be president of the United States. But in order for us to respect them, they're going to have the courage to do what needs to be done, which is to speak truth to power and advocate for his own people just as he would these other people. Okay, y'all, let me know what you think about the video and have a good evening.